So I'm Sharon Mason. I am a Quantum Healing Hypnosis and Entity Release practitioner, and I'm here today to talk about the fascinating world of Quantum Healing Hypnosis. So some people might think that sounds a little bit like a cross between the mentalist and the exorcist. It's not quite like that. There's a little bit of quantum leap thrown in there as well. So a little quote from one of my very nice clients. She said, "I cannot recommend this enough. Sharon enabled me to explain what years of therapy couldn't. I think this work could seriously change the world if it were to become mainstream." Mind-blowing. It can be absolutely mind-blowing. So just a little bit of introduction first of all about me. So as I said, I'm trained in Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique, or QHHT. In Soul Centre Healing Hypnosis, or SCHH. I've been a practitioner since 2021, and I work online all over the world and in person here in Warminster. Every session that I do is absolutely unique, sometimes incredible, and sometimes with miraculous results. I've also trained in Reiki, spiritual counselling, bit of psychology, crystal healing, and some sound healing, which I use in my practice as well. Before my calling to become a quantum healing hypnosis practitioner, I worked for a very long time in television production, various roles in studios and facilities management, and then I worked in a humanitarian charity as an office manager, my last job before I decided to do this. I decided to train after my own miraculous QHHT healing. So in 2016, I had radiotherapy and a little bit of chemotherapy for cancer. And afterwards, I was left with really bad abdominal pains and really bad food intolerances. And so this went on for a couple of years. I was trying multiple different things. I tried acupuncture, I tried going back to my GP, all sorts of things. Nothing worked until I tried QHHT. In one session of QHHT, immediately afterwards, the abdominal pains completely disappeared immediately, and the food intolerances completely disappeared immediately. So it was absolutely miraculous, and this is why I really believe in what I do, really believe in quantum healing, and I really believe that it can help people, and that's why I do it. So I'm not a psychic or a channeler, like Micky. I call myself an intuitive empath. I use my intuition and my empathic feelings to kind of get a feel of what people need. I take a scientific standpoint, so through the lens of cause and effect. So where there's a cause for something, there's always an effect. So for example, if you do good, you'll get good consequences. If you do bad, you might get some bad consequences for it. We're going to talk about karma later. Okay? And this is all through the lens of quantum physics, so it is all based in science, okay? It is the woo-woo science. So what is quantum healing hypnosis? So the term quantum healing describes the intersection of human consciousness, holistic medicine, and quantum mechanics. So quantum mechanics is basically quantum physics. It allows a very deep connection, so when you're under the hypnosis, it allows a deep connection to the subconscious mind and your higher self. I'm going to describe a little bit more about higher self shortly. It allows you to gain wisdom and insight for life guidance. So for example, if you're feeling a bit lost, you don't know where your life is heading, you don't know what career path to take, you don't know whether to stay in your career, to stay in your relationship, whatever, quantum healing hypnosis can help you and give you that sort of that guidance as to whatever it is that you need to know right now. It can promote deep physical, emotional, and spiritual healing. It allows exploration of your past lives, and what Micky was just talking about, exploration of your past lives or events from your current life or any trauma that you may be carrying. So some people, for example, have events in their current lifetime that they have repressed, for example. We're going to talk about one of those later on. It allows you to uncover the root causes and the deeper meanings for your fears, your phobias, your behaviour patterns, and your physical or emotional dis-ease. When I talk about dis-ease, and not necessarily disease, it's dis-ease or unease in your body. Now, quantum healing hypnosis was originally developed by a lady called Dolores Cannon. Some of you might have read her books or heard of her. So just a little bit about Dolores, there she is. So she was a prominent American hypnotherapist. She passed over in 2014. I believe she's still helping practitioners from the other side. So she was working with her husband was in the American military, and she was working with, I think, mostly army wives to help them with things like weight loss, quitting smoking, that sort of thing. And what she discovered from her clients was that many of them were recalling previous lives as extraterrestrials or other non-human intelligences. So she started to research their experiences and she started documenting them. And she authored many books on the subject of past life recall, lost knowledge, ancient civilizations, and extraterrestrials. Now, if anyone doesn't know what I mean by lost knowledge, I'm talking about knowledge from ancient civilizations, knowledge which was removed, knowledge which was reset in our history. So our history is not necessarily what you think it is. There is plenty of knowledge out there which has been removed from education. So when you connect to your higher self, you can actually ask to connect into this lost knowledge. So for example, cathedrals and churches weren't religious centres at all, they were healing centres. And you can read more about that, there's plenty online about that. So Dolores promoted the concept of the new earth and this consciousness shift which we are going through at the moment, called the Great Awakening. And she created and educated students in the QHHT technique. So the higher self, so this technique allows you to have a very deep connection with your higher self. Your higher self is what's known as your oversoul, which is the all-knowing part of your soul. So they know absolutely everything about you. So it is your inner guide, your wise inner voice, and your inspiration. It is always pure, unconditional love, so it will never bring up anything which is traumatizing for you. It only ever shows you love, and it only gives you information that is appropriate for you at this particular time. It can answer any questions regarding your life, your purpose, your relationships, in fact, absolutely anything. It can access your past, your present, and your future timelines, and it knows all of the details of all of your previous lives, whatever they may be. It can access something known as the Akashic Records, or the Cosmic Library. Now the Akashic Records, if you've never heard of them before, are the records of everything and everyone and everything they have ever done, said or thought. And you can think of the Akashic Records as a little bit like a library. And I've had clients who actually have told me about the life before they're reincarnated, where they go into this library and they pick out a book and they read about a particular life that they want to learn about. So for example, if they come to Earth to be a great leader, they take a book out, maybe from a great leader in history, and they read the book, and it's almost like they experience this particular life themselves. Now, I had a client come to me, and she said, I've had past life regression before. She said, and I was Jesus. I thought, wow. And then I realised actually what she's done is, before incarnating into her particular role, she came here to be a healer, she took a book out of the Akashic Records, which was Jesus' life, and she'd read that, and she thought that because she'd read and experienced all Jesus' life, she thought she'd had a past life with Jesus. It's not always the case. So if someone has a past life with someone famous, it's usually because they've taken a book out, they've read this book in the Akashic Records, and they believe that they've experienced that. So during quantum healing hypnosis, you can prepare up to 10 questions to ask your higher self. So those questions can be absolutely anything you might want to ask. Am I in the right career? What should I be doing? What path should I be taking? Am I in the right relationship? What can I do to get financial abundance? What does my pet want me to know about them? all sorts of things. So you can also undergo past life regression as part of quantum healing hypnosis. So past life regression is a therapeutic technique which is undergone during theta state hypnosis. Now, theta state hypnosis, if you've never heard that term before, theta state is the brain wave that you are in between waking and sleeping. It is a perfectly natural state. It is just very, very relaxed. You are in it at least twice a day. So what this technique does, it just brings you down, relaxes you into that state, and it keeps you there. And that allows you to have recall of events in your previous lives that may be impacting your current life circumstances or your physical health. Your higher self will guide you to what is most appropriate or important for you to know at this particular time. So say, for example, you've got a question about what you should be doing, or what your particular soul's path, and your higher self might show you a life where, for example, many people here may have been healers, and it might show you that life as a healer and say, this is what you're meant to be doing, and this is why. So the practitioner will ask questions that guide the client through the experience, and sometimes through the manner of death. So the manner of death can be quite important, because let's say, for example, in one particular life, you died by fire, something like that. You might now, in this life, have a fear of fire. If you died by drowning, you might have a fear of water, you might not be able to swim, something like that, so it can impact your current life. So it's always nice to know, what's happened to me in a previous life that's made me the way that I am today. So trauma from past lives can impact your current life physically, mentally, or spiritually. You might have been shot in the leg in one of your past lives, and now you have a bit of a limp and you don't know why, and the doctors can't find anything wrong with you. It's because it's something that's impacted you from a previous life. It allows the subject to see any trauma, and we've got some examples of some of my client experiences now to demonstrate some of this. So client number 1. So a lady in her 30s came to see me. She was having balance issues, so I said she couldn't walk very well, so she had to use a stick to try and balance. She was falling over a lot and didn't really know where this balance issue was coming from. Again, the doctors didn't know. She wanted to discover her true purpose in this life, and she told me a story about her family had all been born with webbing between their toes, which was quite unusual. So during the past life regression, she regressed back to the time where she was a witch who was helping the beings known, they're from another dimension called the Archons, which I mentioned earlier. She was helping them to take control of the earth. And what she was doing is she was creating potions to keep her community sick so that they were easily controlled by these beings called the Archons. And the webbed toes turned out to be a curse from this particular lifetime. Now, once she was able to understand her role and what she had done in order to help the Archons, she was able to heal her soul tree, which we're going to talk about in a moment, and remove this ancestral curse for the future generations of her family. Her higher self confirmed that her balance would be restored slowly now that she remembered what she had done. The higher self also confirmed that her purpose was to become a healer in this life and to help the earth heal, which was her karma and the way of restoring balance. So there is always balance in the universe. Client number 2. So a young lady in her 20s came to see me. This was her second time coming to see me. She said to me, I've got these weird memories trying to surface. She said, I don't know whether they're memories or if I'm just making this up. And she said, I've also been suffering. She had a really nasty rash all over her face, so she had a really red eczema all over her face. She'd had it for 6 months. The GPs, the pharmacists haven't been able to offer any kind of solution to her, so she came to me. So we did a regression, and on the regression she was taken back to childhood in her current life. and she discovered that she had suffered physical abuse from a family member as a child that she had repressed. So she'd completely forgotten about it, completely repressed it. The higher self confirmed that the eczema all over her face was due to her, quite literally, putting on a mask to hide from the world. The body is always very literal. It will take on symptoms that are literal. Okay? Now, because of this experience, she put on that mask. The eczema was this mask to the world. Once she understood that in the session, it was released. Funnily enough, and this doesn't usually happen, but the abuser who had passed over came through in spirit during the session, and they actually apologised to her for what they'd done. Now, not only is this healing for her to hear this person apologise to her, but it's also healing for that particular spirit. Okay? Now, 3 days after the session, her eczema had completely cleared. Her face was glowing. She sent me photographs. And there's a full interview with her if you want to see it on my YouTube channel, which I'll share the details after this. So how does quantum healing heal the mind, body and soul? So it enables the person to see their past actions in their past lives. You can observe and you can send healing to any past trauma, so either trauma from this particular life that you're in now, or trauma that has happened in other lives. So over many different lifetimes, you see trauma over many different lifetimes, you can understand why that trauma happened, or why it's necessary for your soul growth. What was the particular lesson from that life? So, for example, lessons that clients have come out with things like, I should have taken more care of my family, I should have understood the role of my family better, or I should have trusted myself and my own intuition better. Those sort of lessons. It allows forgiveness, so not only to yourself, seeing what's happened in previous lives. So you might have a relationship, for example, that you've been in through many different lives, husband and wife, something like that, and you can understand by seeing those relationships, how you've reacted to each other, what you've done to each other. It allows you to be able to forgive yourself, but also to forgive those others that you've done things to, or others that have done things to you, and to understand why they've done them. That understanding leads to healing and then release. So you get emotional and physical issues resolved, and then soul growth through that learning process, and your soul tree is healed. I'm going to talk about soul tree now. So let's say this is your soul tree. I'm going to come over here, actually. So this is your soul tree. So you might have lived thousands of different lives. You might have been a footballer. You might have been a healer. You might have died as a child or as a baby. You might have had lives in ancient Egypt, in the Victorian era, lives with dragons, lives as a witch, lives as ETs or other dimensional beings, lives in Rome, lives as warriors, all sorts of things, lives in the military, okay, all sorts of different lives. They are all on your, this is your soul tree. So this is your soul, think the tree is your soul. Each one of the branches on your soul tree is a different life that you have led. Okay, they are all connected. And this is your current lifetime. So in your current lifetime, you are carrying from all of these other lives, you are carrying experiences and knowledge, you are carrying traumas, usually probably from the manner of death. So for example, you might have been hung, you might have died in a fire, you might have died by the sword, etc., etc. You are carrying phobias and fears, curses, physical conditions, learned behaviours, and vows. What do I mean by vows? Let's say in another life you've taken a vow of silence. Do you have trouble speaking? Are you shy? Can you not express yourself? Have you taken a vow of poverty? Can you not make any money? Have you taken a vow of celibacy? A vow of service? Are you only ever in service to other people, never to yourself? So vows can be affecting you in this life now. So what quantum healing does is it shines a light on all of those things. And in shining a light and healing all of those things, you heal the whole of your soul tree. So this is part of quantum physical, quantum entanglement. So because all of your lives are linked at a quantum level, once you've healed this part, you heal all of these. So your future lives, your past lives, your current lives, they all heal from those issues. Einstein called this spooky action at a distance. Okay. Right, I'm going to talk about karma and the soul's path now. So, karma, if you don't know what karma is, which most of you do, karma is the Hindu and Buddhist principle of cause and effect. So as I said, good things give good results and bad things give bad results. The karmic cycle is the continuous link between past actions and future experiences. It always restores balance in the universe. So as Micky was saying, every soul incarnates to learn lessons and have experiences, whether they be good or bad, whether they be the victim or the aggressor. So you've probably been both. Many of us, you've been both. You've been the thief and you've been the person who was stolen from, for example. You've been the victim and the aggressor. The soul's pathway is that person's unique spiritual journey, representing their divine purpose, their life lessons, and their soul's evolution across lifetimes. Okay? That soul learns from every experience, and they always experience both sides of each experience, so that you have an understanding of both sides. And that soul then heads towards inner growth, compassion, self-realization, and then liberation. And then you get your ascension to the next density, the next level up, growing closer to the divine source, what the youth like to call leveling up. Okay? So, soul groups and soul contracts. Many of you might know that you are born into a soul group. You have a soul group surrounding you. So a soul group is a cluster of souls with similar frequencies who evolve together over many lifetimes to share lessons and spiritual growth. So you incarnate with members from your soul group many times. A soul contract is a spiritual agreement made by your soul before you are incarnated, where you agree to undergo specific life experiences, lessons, and relationships for your personal or your soul's growth. Okay, so you've agreed already, before you're born, you've already agreed what you're going to go through. Okay? So, before you're born, you collaborate with your soul group to agree your soul's plans and your karmic agreement. So who's going to do what to who? So you're going to do this to me, I'm going to do this to you, we're going to have a big punch up about it. But really we're great friends on the other side. Okay? So you choose roles in your life, so family, relationships, mentors or adversaries. You choose those from your soul group. So that toxic ex-partner or your toxic ex-colleague, they may be fulfilling a soul contract to teach you, for example, your self-worth or how to establish boundaries. So every time you come up against someone who's really getting in your face, ask yourself, what is that person trying to teach me? Are they part of my soul group? What do I need to learn here? What do I need to do? Do I need to do something different? If you keep repeating the same old patterns with the same types of people, your soul is trying to say, hang on, you need to do something different. Only the bravest souls come to Earth. Okay?
Oh, yes.
Oh, no, not again. A little nod there to Douglas Adams. Earth is the hardest soul school that there is in this universe. Okay? You don't come here for an easy life. Give yourself some credit. Give yourself some pat on the back. Okay? They're accused of souls who wanted to be incarnated here for this time on the earth, for what we're going through at the moment. Okay? The Great Human Awakening. There are souls queuing up who actually wanted to be here for this. Can you imagine that? They actually wanted to be through the shit show. They wanted to be here for that. So it's a bit like snakes and ladders. If any of you ever played snakes and ladders, instead of just plodding along square by square, you've reached the ladder. And before you incarnated to Earth, you've reached the ladder, and in having that Earth experience, you get to go up that ladder. You get to miss out on these other squares, go up the ladder, because Earth is really fast, accelerated soul growth. Okay, your soul chose this for accelerated soul growth. Yeah, you actually chose this life. So next time, you go through a struggle, ask yourself, what is this experience trying to teach me? Okay? If you want a reminder of this, I'm selling these fridge magnets on my stall. Stick one on your fridge. Just so you know, only the bravest souls come to Earth. Right, the energy body. We are all energy. Okay, you're not a meat suit. Look at this. It's a meat suit. Your energy. Okay, your pure energy. So energy that vibrates at a lower vibration feels dense. Energy that vibrates at a higher vibration feels very light. So matter, which is very dense, is just energy which is vibrating very, very slowly. Okay, that's the way to look at it. Your chakra system in your body consists of 7 main energy centres, which receive and transmit life force energy to regulate your physical, emotional and spiritual well-being. Each of these chakras resonates at a particular vibrational frequency, and you can find these specific frequencies in things like tuning forks, singing bowls, that kind of thing. So I've got a set of tuning forks that I use in my sessions to help rebalance each chakra. And if those chakras are out of balance, and this can be caused by things like trauma, stress, negative thoughts, pain and injury, alcohol, drugs, medication, they can cause energetic blocks in your chakras and fractures in your aura. Now the aura is like an outer shell, an outer protective shell around your energy body, which protects you from negative energies. So when the chakras are out of balance, it causes imbalance or dis-ease in the body. So these are the main chakras here. So you've got the root chakra down at the base of the spine, which is concerned with security, stability and survival. Now let's say, for example, you've had something in your childhood which has made you feel a bit unstable, being bullied, something like that, you will have an impacted root chakra. Sacral chakra, this one here, is concerned with creativity, pleasure, sex and emotions. The solar plexus is about self-confidence and power. The heart is love, compassion and relationships. The throat is about communication, self-expression and truth. The third eye is concerned with your intuition, your imagination and your wisdom. And the crown is your spiritual connection, your connection to source and enlightenment. And for anyone interested, I have a free chakra healing chart available from my store, which you can just come and pick up if you want to know more about the chakras and healing them. Let's say, for example, someone has an impacted throat chakra. That might mean that they are very shy. It might mean that they have thyroid problems. It might mean that they have trouble expressing themselves. It might mean that they're a compulsive liar. I've known a few with impacted chakras on the throat. So if you know someone who's got a bit of a problem somewhere down the chakra line, it's possible they've got an impacted chakra. Okay. You can use spiritual protection to help protect your energy body. And I've got a little book again on my stall, the Beginner's Guide to Spiritual Protection, available on my stall, anyone who's interested in this sort of thing. So you can protect your energy using energy clearance techniques, e.g. entity release, Reiki or sound healing, for example. You can spend less time on your phones, devices and with AI software. You can avoid emotional triggers. Say, for example, you've got a family member who constantly triggers you, or a friend, or a really bad friend. You know, maybe you should be an ex-friend with them, really. And they're constantly trying to trigger you. Maybe try and, you know, cut those sort of triggering ties and step away. Dealing with any negativity that you hold within yourself, practicing forgiveness. Using crystals, for example, black tourmaline or obsidian can be very protective. I know there's a lady here called Lou who is selling crystals today. Want to go and see her for any crystals? Prayer and intention. Now, some people are sort of a bit kind of, you know, does prayer help? Does intention help? Well, there's a little story that I heard recently about a group of black witches who had been told by the something like a satanic church or something like that to attack Christians while they were asleep. So what these black witches would do is they would go into a meditative state and try and attack Christians while they were sleeping. So they found that any of these Christians who were praying or using their intention to protect themselves, they said they would see a blue shield of light over the top of them because they'd used their prayer and intention to protect themselves, and they weren't able to attack them. So it just shows you prayer and intention can work. Angelic protection. So I also have a nighttime protection ritual that I do every night, and I have a postcard with that on if anyone is interested. You can put that up for my store. Angelic protection, you can ask your angels or your guides for protection. Visualization and shielding, so I say I do this in the car, so I imagine a pyramid of white light protection over myself every time I get in my car. You can use smoke cleansing rituals, for example, burning ethically sourced sage and incense, clearing your house, clearing your car, clearing yourself, and many, many more techniques. Okay. So, quantum healing, it's not just about past life regression. You can get miraculous physical and emotional healing. You can get surrogate healing for other people and your pets. So, for example, you have an elderly relative, someone who can't come for their own hypnosis session, or a child, or something like that, or a baby. You can ask during the session to connect to their higher self and get healing for them. And I've done this with my dog. It's hard to get healing with my dog. You can get compassionate negative energy release. If anyone wants to know more about that, come and see, you can ask. You can do soul rescue. So, for example, you've got earthbound spirits, human spirits that died and they didn't know where to go to. They're hanging around. Sometimes they try and attach to you. We can do soul rescue during a quantum healing hypnosis session. You can get chakra healing and rebalance and sound healing. We can bring forward messages from your spirit guides or your loved ones who are in spirit. This is also spiritual counselling with grief and trauma release. You can have conversations with the Galactic Council or your extraterrestrial guides. You can answer questions about lost knowledge and hidden history. You can remove, as I've stated with this lady who came in with a curse with red feet, remove curses, black magic, vows, and any toxic cords to any people which you need to cut. You can do that. You can learn your life's purpose and get life guidance, and you can heal your soul tree. So thank you very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the talk. Do come and find me if you've got any questions at all. If you'd like to book a session with me, I've got a sign-up sheet on my stall. You can sign up and I'll send you information about sessions, and you can choose whether or not you want to book. And my website there is www.sharonmason.co.uk. There's my email, if anyone wants to take a picture. And my YouTube channel if you're interested in watching any sessions or the interview with the client of the eczema. That's on my YouTube channel. I've got the Beginner's Guide to Spiritual Protection book, I've got a Spiritual Healing Guide and Workbook, and I have a nighttime protection ritual there available on my stall. Does anybody have any questions at all? I'm going to take one question, I should think. Yes? Yes.
I was just wondering about soul contracts. Can these be changed? You know, if you want a refund, sort of.
Can they be changed? Can soul contracts be changed? That's a good question. I don't know. We'd have to ask your higher self. It would probably depend on the contract. Yeah. It would probably depend on the contract of what it was. Yeah. I've not had anyone ask that before. Thank you. Does anyone else have anything they really want to ask? No? Okay. Thank you very much for listening. Have a really good day.